Good morning. I'm so pleased to once again be able to speak directly to the children this morning. This week, youth all over our planet will be amazing us with their Earth Day live presentations. And today, I would like to share a remarkable story of a 14-year-old boy named William Kamkwamba. He worked with soil and sun, wind and water to solve some very serious problems. So the reason why I'm sharing this story among many other inspiring stories is because William wrote a book about his childhood, which was a bestseller, and it was made into a young adult book then, and also into a children's picture book. And you can read these books online through an ebook with the Minuteman Library System. And in addition to that, the story was recently made into a feature film that was released just last year, and you can watch it on Netflix. So let me begin. William was born in 1987 into a tiny remote village in Malawi. The people of Malawi call their nation the heart of Africa. Although they suffer from climate extremes and have very little material possessions, they are friendly and sharing with big hearts. When William was 13, he had just passed the tests to get into middle school. Schooling after elementary school level was not free in Malawi, but it cost about $80 a year. Well, actually, that was a lot of money for his farming family. But William was a great student, and his family had high hopes for him. Next slide. Not long after he started 8th grade, however, a terrible disaster, a catastrophe struck Malawi. Malawi doesn't have 4 seasons. It doesn't have summer, spring, winter, and fall. It has a rainy season and a drier season. And the main food that they grow is maize or white corn. They eat it most every day as their most important filling food. But the rainy season in 2001 was ferocious and flooding. It turned the soil into mud. Then came the drier season. When William's family planted their maize, they found it was much too dry. There was a terrible drought that year. The sun beat down on the land, much less rain fell. And the corn stalks dried up and died. People everywhere were starving because there wasn't rainwater to grow the corn and other crops. William, his 6 sisters, and mother and father, their relatives, and the whole small village had a terrible year trying to survive. At first, William tried to forget his hunger for a little each day while studying hard at school. But guess what? That year, his family could not afford the school fees. And it looked like he would have to drop out. No schooling, no water for farming, and little food. What could a mere child do? Well, what do you think? Well, I will tell you. At first, William tried to sneak back into school without paying the fees. He would hide in the bathroom stalls when they asked students to show their receipt for payment. And then he would sneak into the back of large classes and keep his head down while listening to the lessons. But he was caught by the teachers again and again, and eventually they told him that he mustn't come back. So William started going back to his elementary school where there was a tiny library. He found donated books from the United States and other places in different languages. William loved science, and he taught himself how to read an English language book about energy. He got very excited about the idea of building a windmill to make electricity, but the book did not explain exactly how. Finally, William got a hold of a bicycle that he was allowed to use with a tiny generator. Have you ever seen how pedaling a bicycle can make electricity for a bike lamp by the spinning of the wheels? Seeing that gave him the idea he needed to finally solve the problem. He was so excited. Not only could he create electric lighting to continue his studies at home after dark, but, and listen to this, he was able to use windmill power to bring water up from wells in the ground and start watering the corn crops in his village. Wind and water, two essential elements of nature brought together. In a place where there was no electric utility lines, the village jumped over fossil fuels straight into clean, renewable energy. William was a village hero. The people who had been impatient with him working on that project and thought he was crazy and lazy were suddenly singing his praises. Reporters from further away heard about his ingenious feat and wrote stories about him for the newspapers. His story even traveled to the US. It took another 7 years and more windmills before William was finally able to go back to school, but he did very well and was accepted into Dartmouth College in New Hampshire. William moved to the United States and he graduated from Dartmouth in 2014. He has been working with wind and solar power and projects to help Malawi and other poor nations. Here's William. I believe he's in North Carolina where he's living right now. This is William with a bunch of middle schoolers in the California area. And here's William with some high schoolers in Danvers, Massachusetts. I am always looking for inspiring stories about social activists and hope you will want to learn more about William Kamkwamba. His story is called, and this is what you can look up in the library system, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, the same title used for the Netflix movie.